And now, a brief story of the history of the world. Oh, just kidding. Well, sort of. Something that's baffled slotters forever. Let's get situated here. Scalextric. Who is Scalextric? Scalextric Spain? Scalextric UK? What? Okay, so here's the deal. And I have notes. I have notes for this on the Carrera notepad, of course. So Scalextric, the whole company, was founded in 1956. They made slot cars in England. The brand that everybody knows as Scalextric has been making slot cars, since the very beginning. Around 1961, a Spanish company was formed, which was called Exin, E-X-I-N, Exin. They made slot cars in Spain. I think this was largely because it was difficult to do business because there was in Spain, and maybe bring things into Spain because of the dictatorship. That's what I was told anyway when I was there one time, when I was in Spain. And so there was a separate company basically formed to make Scalextric in Spain for the Spanish market. It was called Scalextric. Big shock, I know. So they made toys as one company. They made slot cars as one company. But just like a multinational company will have multiple offices in different parts of the world, there was the main office in England, and then there was the subsidiary, whatever you want to call it, in Spain, Scalextric. They were the same brand at that point. They were the same slot cars at that point. Or, well, they were the same company at that point. They were different slot cars. So around, it looks like 1992, and I got this from a graphic on Slot Forum. It's called the Scalextric Family Tree. I'm going to show that here in part, and you can see the whole timeline basically. So around 1992, it looks like the company split, and they split. And when they split, each company in their own home market, at least initially. Now stay with me here. This is where it gets confusing. So in the UK, they kept the name Scalextric. In Spain, they kept the name Scalextric. But then they had to go register the name other places where they were going to do business, right? So Scalextric had the name in most countries. The UK company had the name in most countries, the rights to use that name. But in the Spanish-speaking countries or adjacent to Spain, like obviously Spain, Portugal, Mexico, they still use that name. But in the rest of the world market, and there's someplace else like Bulgaria, some Eastern Bloc country, where they use the name Scalextric. But in the rest of the world, they started using the name SCX. And then so that was around 1992-ish. Around 1994, Hornby, which is the Scalextric that everybody knows, that's the British company, started selling slot cars in Spain again, their own brand of cars, their own make of cars, under the name Super Slot. Okay? So a Super Slot car is the Scalextric that most of the English-speaking world considers Scalextric. And as you can see, I mean, these are both SCX / they're Spanish cars. These are both British cars. They're all made in China, by the way. So there's a long history of, in Spain, the company has changed hands a number of times, or I should say the brand has changed hands a number of times. The brand, as far as I know, since I've been involved with the company around 2007, has been owned, certainly before then, by the family, the Arnau family. Luis Arnau and his family own the brand, and now they reformed the company after they got it back. They got the brand back fairly recently, so they reformed the company under what Scale Competition Extreme, SCX. Until then, SCX, I believe, was just kind of a contraction, if you will, of Scalextric. So that's why they use that name outside of the Spanish market. Yeah, the Spanish company has changed hands a number of times, but so now, anyway, now the family that actually owns the brand, that actually owns the company, are finally making slot cars themselves, rather than licensing it to a company like Technotoys, which is who I worked for. They use the brand name to make slot cars, under the Scalextric and SCX name for the world. And then it was sold to Aduca Boras, who made them for a little while. Aduca is a big puzzle company in Spain. They had the SCX, Scalextric Spain, name for quite a long time. But anyway, so I hope that clears it up a little bit. So inside of Spain, it's Scalextric. Outside of Spain, it's SCX. For the rest of the world, it's Scalextric. Inside of Spain, it's Superslot. Okay? So that may clear it up for you. Maybe it doesn't, though. Anyway, thanks, folks. I figured I'd do this video to maybe clear it up a little bit. Thanks. See you all again soon.